them a round of applause. And of course, these are the working media. These are not the owners of the media, because you know what happened when the owners of the media. So, comrades, we have a very short time, and because all I can say in terms of the media being here, I have lived long enough to remember the days when Cuba was building its socialist revolution, and people were very scared about what was going on in Cuba. And exactly what is going on today in terms of the destabilization you're getting against Venezuela, where all this false information is being tuned out against what is going on in Venezuela. It parallels very much what has gone on in Cuba. In fact, I remember a day coming back from Cuba with George Weeks, who was a senator at that point in time, in front of me, and a customs officer asking me for periodicals that I got from Cuba. So I had to tell him, listen, you're sounding like you're reading from the CIA handbook, because I don't have any periodicals. And once something is not pornographic or not against religion or something like that, people can come into this country with it, and he quickly stamped my passport and told me to go ahead, you know. So I want to simply call and now on Comrade Abdulah. Could you give him a round of applause?
Thank you very much, Comrade Vincent Cabrera, President of the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union, at whose headquarters we are having this media briefing followed by a major seminar. I want to extend a very warm welcome to a comrade from Venezuela, Comrade JACOBO, whom I've known for quite a number of years through the trade union movement. And in my days in the Oilfield Workers Trade Union. And also, of course, we want to recognize Her Excellency Cormoto Godoy, the Ambassador of the Republic of Venezuela to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm just going to make 2 or 3 very quick points for the, this media briefing. Firstly, to say, and following up what my Comrade Vincent said, is that the issue of false narratives is very alive, not only here in Trinidad and Tobago, but all over the world. Because you see, when false narratives are presented to the people, the ordinary citizen, being unaware of the other facts, will then come to conclusions, which conclusions themselves will be wrong because they were based upon a false premise. And so there has been a narrative that President Maduro is a dictator, that there's no democracy in Venezuela, and therefore whatever actions people take to get rid of the Maduro government is okay and legitimate. And we want to say that that is a false narrative because it is based on the false premise that President Maduro is a dictator and that there is no democracy in Venezuela. I attended as an election observer the elections for the state governors last October in Venezuela. I moved around to quite a number of polling stations, and if the media stayed for the seminar, you will see the PowerPoint presentation. In fact, I did a video conference when I came back from Trinidad, came back to Trinidad on this, where people could see the actual polling process, which is very democratic, very open, very fair, very transparent. In fact, there are checks and balances in the Venezuelan electoral system that are more strenuous and rigorous than the checks and balances that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago in our electoral system. So that I can say without any fear of contradiction that the electoral process is free and fair. And in those elections last October, the opposition parties contested, the coalition of opposition parties contested, as did the coalition of parties that are in the government. And the opposition parties won a number of states. In fact, they won some states that they had not won in the previous gubernatorial elections, and the government won some states that they had won in the previous gubernatorial elections. And so the electoral process is very free and fair. There's an election scheduled for the election of the president on the 20th of May, which is next week Sunday. And already we have seen the US Vice President, Mr. Pence, saying that the election should be boycotted and whatever results of those elections will not be recognized by the United States. What the US is seeking to do is to present the narrative that regardless of who wins the election, the US will intervene by other means which are not democratic. So President Maduro, if he wins in the elections next week Sunday, will then be faced with a hostile US administration supported by hostile elements within the right-wing opposition in Venezuela, who represent the elite, and the people in Trinidad and Tobago need to know that, they represent the 1% in Venezuela, who have never been satisfied with the changes that have taken place in Venezuela since the election of President Chavez in 1999. And I want to make the point that Venezuela from 1999 to now has had more elections than Trinidad and Tobago has had. They've had several presidential elections. There was a recall referendum which President Chavez was confronted with, which he won. There were elections at the municipal and gubernatorial level and parliamentary elections as well. So there is no doubt in my mind that there is a rigorous democratic process. But the opposition, because they seem not to be able to get their act together to win the election, then resorts to other means, violent street protests and so on, to bring down the democratically elected government. And we are seeing the American government already beginning to signal that it is not prepared to accept the result of the elections next Sunday. And we want to say that there must be a hands-off Venezuela position. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Rowley, signaled in his press conference a couple of weeks ago that there were certain persons seeking to get the Trinidad and Tobago government to take part in a military or some other external intervention in Venezuela. And we want to say to the government of Trinidad and Tobago that we support the position that Trinidad and Tobago must not interfere in the internal affairs of Venezuela or any other country. It's a matter of principle, it's a matter of policy recognized in international relations, which of course Mr. Trump doesn't know about and doesn't recognize. And neither has US imperialism throughout all the many years and so on. Because they supported, the US State Department actually came out publicly and recognized those persons in 2002 who engaged in a coup d'etat against the democratically elected President Chavez. So the United States has no moral authority whatsoever to talk about democracy and human rights. There are more people in prisons in the United States in total and per capita than any other country in the world. And let me just briefly now make a statement on immigration, because I know many Trinidadians and Tobagonians are concerned. Many of you would have seen, and I want to thank the editors of the three daily newspapers, the Express, the Guardian, and the Newsday, for carrying, albeit an abbreviated version of the major statement that we issued last week, but it has been carried in all three dailies over 2 segments on different days. And so the population will be able to read what we have said as MSJ about the issue of immigration. We are saying, first of all, that the problem of immigration is real. There's a real problem. There's a real economic crisis. We don't duck and hide. There's a real economic crisis in Venezuela. I don't have time to go into all of the reasons why there's an economic crisis, but there is an economic crisis. And people have sought to leave Venezuela to come to Trinidad and Tobago to work. However, as we know, if you leave Trinidad and Tobago to go to the United States or Canada on holiday, you're not supposed to work. But many Venezuelans come here, they're given 3 months, which is what the immigration law says, and they either work during those 3 months, or they stay longer than the 3 months because they're trying to accumulate some resources to send back to their families, and so on. And so there is that real problem. But that problem of migrant workers is not the same as the issue of political refugees or people seeking political asylum. We must be very clear that somebody who's seeking asylum in a country, somebody who's fleeing war, civil war, who is being actually politically persecuted, and so on. In our situation, Trinidad will remember years ago, when the NDR government split, a lot of Trinidadians left and went up to Canada seeking asylum. They were not asylum seekers. They were not genuine refugees. They wanted to use the excuse of the political crisis in Trinidad, the difference between the NDR and Club 88, to go up to Canada to work. And in those days, we didn't need a visa to go to Canada. As a result of that, the Canadians imposed visa restrictions on Trinidadians and Tobagoans. So, we have to be clear, what we have is a problem of migrant labor into Trinidad and Tobago, which issue has to be addressed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, having a clear policy dealing with migrant workers, and the trade unions have to also have a policy to address the defense of migrant workers who are being terribly exploited in this country. And we have to ask the question to Living Waters and all of them who are crying tears about the conditions of Venezuelans, whether or not they are facilitating workers coming into Trinidad and Tobago, migrant workers, and then being sent to employers who are exploiting them terribly. And some of those people who are making noise about the Venezuelans who are deported have to ask whether they themselves are exploiting Venezuelan workers in this country by not paying them the minimum wage, by taking away their passport, by virtually engage in what is modern-day slavery and human trafficking. And those are our concerns of these Venezuelans who are coming here as migrant workers and who are being exploited. So the government needs clear policies on migrant labor. The business community must say there must be no exploitation of migrant workers, whether they're from Venezuela, Jamaica, Ghana, Guyana, St. Vincent, Dominican Republic, Haiti, wherever. No exploitation of migrant workers. So we need a proper policy on migrant labor. Right? And I can speak much longer, but lastly, I just want to make a point that we are calling on the government of Trinidad and Tobago to have a high-level meeting with the government of Venezuela to discuss the issue of immigration, whether legal or illegal, into Trinidad and Tobago. And also to address the issues of mutual security, national security, because there is a problem of guns and drugs being traded. But I want to make the point that there has always been illegal trade between Venezuela and Trinidad. Long time it was contraband whiskey, gamecocks, and other things. Now, unfortunately, it is hard drugs and arms and ammunition. But we have to address the illegal trade, we need to address the issue of immigration, and we have to discuss how in Trinidad and Tobago we can make arrangements in discussion with the government of Venezuela to ensure that those skills which may be needed in our economy that could come from Venezuela, that those skills could be absorbed and that people could therefore work here. We have had a long relationship of people moving backwards and forwards. We have Trinidadians who have families in Venezuela and vice versa. If you look at our names, Fernandez and Cabrera, Lara, and so many others, that was Venezuela, Parang, and so on. There's always been a migration backwards and forwards, and therefore we have to resolve this thing as two countries that have a long historical and cultural relationship, and people who have had a long historical and cultural relationship, and resolve this in a way of mutual respect for the sovereignty of each country. Thank you very much.
Welcome, JACOBO. He's a trade unionist. He's political like me, but he's a trade unionist. And he leads the Socialist Federation of Venezuelan Workers. So could you welcome him and he'll make his statement.
tardes.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone.
Es la segunda vez que vengo a Trinidad.
This is the second time I'm here in Trinidad.
La primera vez fue cuando la cumbre iberoamericana, creo que era.
The last time I was here was for the Summit of the Americas.
Cuando nuestro comandante Chávez le regaló a Barack Obama las venas abiertas de América Latina.
When Commander Chavez gave Barack Obama the book called The Venas Abiertas de América Latina, the open veins of Latin America.
Y en el mejor estilo venezolano rompió todos los protocolos habidos y por haber.
And in the best Venezuelan fashion, broke with all protocols, past and future.
Es un orgullo para mí estar acá.
It's a great honor for me to be here.
Además, entre compañeros de lucha,
Particularly to be among our other combatants,
hermanos de clase,
brothers of the classes.
y estamos acá precisamente por lo que decía mi hermano Abdulah.
And I'm here for this very reason that my comrade Abdulah, as he mentioned,
Frente a los falsos positivos contra Venezuela,
to speak about these false positives registered against Venezuela,
venir a decir nuestra verdad,
to speak of our truth,
y como hermanos de clase,
and as brothers in arms of the classes, the working class,
no importa si es en inglés o en español, nos entendemos,
whether we speak in Spanish or in English, we understand one another.
porque precisamente por eso hay un vínculo histórico.
Because for this very reason, we have this historical tie.
Es más, con todo el respeto a mis hermanos de Trinidad y Tobago,
And with all the respect to my brothers here in Trinidad and Tobago,
el Imperio Británico nunca debió haber dejado a Trinidad fuera de la Capitanía General de Venezuela, porque somos lo mismo, hablemos inglés o hablemos español.
the British Empire should never have taken away Trinidad and Tobago from the General Captaincy of Venezuela.
Por lo tanto, vengo a hablar en el lenguaje universal de los trabajadores.
So I've come to speak in the universal language of workers.
Y lo primero, reforzando lo que decía Abdulah,
And to reiterate, first of all, what my comrade Abdulah mentioned,
entre 1998 y el 2018
between 1998 and 2018,
se han realizado en Venezuela 24 procesos electorales.
there have been 24 elections in Venezuela.
Yo los invitaría a que propusieran a Venezuela para el récord Guinness.
I think Venezuela probably has the Guinness World Record.
Es la dictadura que más elecciones ha hecho en el mundo en toda la historia.
It is the dictatorship that had the most elections in history.
Porque ahora los supuestos demócratas descubren que ir a elecciones no es lo democrático.
So apparently these supposed democratic persons realize that going to elections is not a democratic practice at all.
O sea, no es suficiente ir a una elección, como antes nos decían. Muchos de ustedes deben saberlo.
It is not the same to go to elections as you have seen in the past.
¿No les suena familiar la alternabilidad democrática como proceso de los pueblos?
So they don't consider this democratic alternative available to people.
Por lo tanto, para que exista la alternabilidad debe haber una elección.
So in order to have this, we must have an election.
No tenemos la culpa de haber ganado 22 de 24.
It's not our fault that we won 22 of these 24 elections.
Simple.
This is just a fact.
La alternabilidad está garantizada.
This is guaranteed.
Ellos ganaron el Parlamento en el 2015
They won the parliamentary elections in 2015
con el mismo Consejo Nacional Electoral que está verificando las últimas elecciones.
under the very said National Electoral Council, CNE, which is governing these present elections.
Entonces, ¿cómo es que en el 2015 servía y ahora no sirve?
So how is it that in 2015 it was okay and now it isn't?
Por lo tanto, pretenden desconocer el hecho democrático.
So now they do not want to acknowledge the democratic outcome.
Y eso viene acompañado, además, de una agresión sistemática a nuestro pueblo,
And this, of course, comes accompanied by a systematic aggression against our people,
que tiene que ver con la desaparición de los alimentos,
which is linked to the disappearance of food
el encarecimiento de los productos de primera necesidad.
and the increasing prices of basic products.
Para que se hagan una idea, un producto que hoy me puede costar $1 a las 10 de la mañana, a las 6 de la tarde cuesta 100.
So just by way of example, a product that could cost me $1 at 10 o'clock in the morning can cost me $100 by evening time.
Sin ningún tipo de razonamiento económico.
Without any economic rationale for this phenomenon.
Ni siquiera el liberalismo que ellos defienden en cuanto al sacrosanto mercado como regulador de los bienes y servicios, sino que es una agresión sistemática al pueblo de Venezuela, con la intención de rendirnos por hambre.
Yes, not even the very liberalization and the sacrosanct market economy can explain this. This is all geared towards an aggression against Venezuela, which wants to bring the Venezuelan people to their knees because of hunger.
Con el añadido de una violencia sistemática para tratar de acusar al gobierno de violador de los derechos humanos y represor.
And of course, with the systematic violence of accusing the government of violating human rights.
Como está ocurriendo en Nicaragua casualmente en estos mismos días.
And by the way, this is also happening in Nicaragua.
Con el mismo guión.
With the same script.
Y acusamos a esos promotores de la violencia como fascistas. No tienen otro nombre.
We categorize these persons as fascist.
120 muertos tuvo la aventura golpista de la derecha venezolana.
There have been 120 persons dead at the hands of the Venezuelan right.
Y los muertos, duele decirlo, eran por el color de la piel.
And these persons died because of the color of their skin.
Y el tema del color es complicado, ¿no?
Now, of course, when we speak of color, it's a complicated issue.
Con todo el respeto a los blancos.
Of course, with all my respect to the Caucasian people.
Cuando el blanco lleva sol se pone rojo.
Well, when they go into the sun, they become red.
Cuando se asustan se pone amarillo.
And when they get scared, they turn yellow.
Y cuando los golpean se pone morado.
And if they are struck, they turn purple.
Pero los de color son los afrodescendientes.
But those who are colored persons are Afro-descendants.
O sea, un contrasentido cultural incluso.
This is a cultural issue.
Por lo tanto, dentro de ese tema, por el hecho de ser negro,
so by the very fact of being black,
era sujeto de agresión.
They were subject to these attacks.
Quemaron vivas personas.
Persons were burnt alive.
Solo por el color de la piel.
Just because of the color of their skin.
O porque pudiera parecer chavista.
Or that they could appear chavista.
O que tuvieran mal privilegio de parecerse a algún dirigente de la revolución, como le ocurrió a varios.
Or they had the ill luck of resembling someone who was a revolutionary leader.
Y a nosotros son los que nos acusan de agresivos y dictadores.
And we are accused of being the aggressors and the dictators.
Luego, parte también de esta visita tiene que ver con el reconocimiento a ustedes, compañeros y compañeras de acá, de Trinidad y Tobago, por la solidaridad, el cariño, el afecto que nos han demostrado prácticamente de toda la vida. Como decía bien Abdulah, pues desde que estábamos empezandito en el tema sindical, bueno, David pues estaba al frente de la OWU y yo pues trabajando con mi compañero, hoy presidente, Nicolás Maduro, en la construcción de la Central Bolivariana Socialista de Trabajadores.
And another reason for this visit would be to recognize the solidarity that we've had from the people from Trinidad and Tobago. And I'd like to express my affection, and we have known each other for a long time. Even Comrade Abdulah, I've known him since his early days at the OWTU, and even when I myself was starting out working with the then President Maduro, who eventually became president, and as we were starting out with the Bolivarian Socialist Workers Union.
Por eso vine a discutir con los míos. Vine a hablar con mis hermanos.
So I've come to speak with my own people, with my brothers here.
No solamente para ver el pasado y denunciar esto que acabo de decir.
Not just to look at the past and renounce what we've seen.
Sino que, como buenos tercos que somos, ver al futuro.
But as hardened as we are, we will look toward the future.
Y el tema de la migración es uno.
And this theme of migration is a very difficult one.
De tantos temas.
as among many other themes.
Primero, porque no hay ninguna política migratoria, en el caso nuestro, de expulsar gente de nuestro país.
Because we do not have a migratory policy to expel persons from our country.
Más bien, hay una agresiva campaña para que la gente salga del país.
Rather, there is an aggressive campaign to have persons leave the country.
Algo parecido a lo que le hicieron a Cuba en medio del bloqueo.
This is something that is similar to what happened in Cuba through the use of the blockade.
Cuando se acuerdan 20,000 visas de Estados Unidos a Cuba y en 10 años no otorgaron 100.
I remember the case of the 20,000 visas offered to the Cubans from the United States with only 100 given out.
Para forzar la migración ilegal.
To encourage illegal emigration.
Por lo tanto, los que fueron repatriados, primero fue por voluntad propia, y le agradecemos a los compañeros del sindicalismo trinitario, a los compañeros del Movement for Social Justice. Mi inglés es muy malo, pero...
Well, these persons were eventually repatriated, but I would like to thank you for the solidarity expressed from the trade union movement in Trinidad and Tobago and the MSJ.
Por el tratamiento a estos compatriotas.
For the treatment to our compatriots.
Y por qué no, agradecerle al gobierno trinitario.
And to thank the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Por facilitar la repatriación.
For facilitating the repatriation.
Porque si algo estamos claros es que no salieron expulsados de Trinidad.
Because one thing is clear, they were not expelled.
Sino que fueron devueltos a donde nunca debieron haber salido.
They were not expelled from Trinidad, but they were returned to a country from which they should not have left.
Porque si de algo estamos claros, y hablo en nombre de mi central y de mis propios compañeros, es que vamos a combatir la migración ilegal donde quiera que sea. No solamente el problema es Trinidad, es una campaña contra la revolución bolivariana para acusar el tema de la supuesta crisis humanitaria.
But one thing is clear is that on behalf of, when I speak for my trade union and my colleagues, we will fight against illegal migration. This is something that is against the Bolivarian revolution.
Porque no es posible que en pleno siglo XXI le den tratamiento de esclavos a esos inmigrantes.
And it can't be that in the midst of the 21st century that these persons are treated under conditions of slavery.
Donde además la tecnología nos pone al día en tiempo real.
And of course the technology allows us to operate in real time.
Así que obviamente que todo el mundo se va a dar cuenta de ese fenómeno que solamente está en las mentes perversas de una derecha infame.
Of course everyone will become aware of this phenomenon, which is part of a perverse mind of the right-wing side.
Y por último, como ya también lo dijo David, vamos a la elección número 25 en Venezuela con nuestro candidato presidente obrero y primer chavista de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, y lo digo con mucho orgullo.
And to conclude, I'd like to say we are on to our 25th elections, and we are looking at having supporting candidacy of the workers' president, President Nicolás Maduro Moros.
Y por qué no decirlo desde acá, desde Trinidad, no nos importa que no nos reconozca Estados Unidos o la Unión Europea o quien diablos no nos quiera reconocer.
And from Trinidad and Tobago, I would like to say that it doesn't matter to us whether the United States or the European Union refuse to acknowledge the outcome of the election. Whoever it would be, we don't care.
Porque el que nos tiene que reconocer ya lo hizo, y es el pueblo de Venezuela.
Because the ones who have to acknowledge the results are the people, in fact, the people of Venezuela.
Que nos ha dado 22 victorias en 18 años.
And they have given us 22 victories in over 28 years.
Y con Nicolás vamos para el número 23.
And we're going for a 23rd victory.
Y por último, que vamos a discutir con nuestros compañeros, pues, esta visita de médico que vine a hacer yo acá a Trinidad de 2 días, hablar del tema de la Asamblea Nacional Constituyente.
And taking advantage of this visit, I would like to speak of the Constituent National Assembly.
Soberana, plenipotenciaria y originaria.
Plenipotentiary and given original power.
Porque no solamente el problema es desarrollar nuestra nueva constitución, por decirlo de alguna manera, en Venezuela, sino que se trata de, en el marco de un planeta en crisis, discutamos qué hay que hacer.
And we look at not only to develop a new constitution, in a manner of speaking, but also to develop a framework for a planet in crisis, what it is we need to do.
Y desde Trinidad doy la primicia. Queremos constituir el Comité Constituyente del Caribe partiendo de acá, con nuestros hermanos de clase, con los trabajadores que nunca fallan y que nunca van a fallar porque, insisto, sea en inglés, en español o en cualquier idioma, hablamos como clase. No nos separa ni el idioma ni los intereses de nadie, sino la construcción de ese futuro mejor para todos, y es lo que hemos compartido toda la vida.
And from Trinidad and Tobago, I would like to call, and starting here, for the Caribbean Constituent Assembly, which will be formed with our workers and the unions. With these workers have never failed us, and it does, as I've said before, it should not matter whether it is in Spanish or English or any other language. We all speak the same language. We have the same understanding. We need to constitute a better world for all.
Porque bueno, en definitiva, frente a la globalización del capital, que es lo que hemos venido enfrentando en esta crisis estructural del capitalismo.
And when we face this globalization of capital, looking at this capitalist structure that we're facing right now,
nos toca a nosotros ahora internacionalizar la lucha de clase.
So now we have to make more, we have to internationalize the class struggle.
Y en el caso de Venezuela, exponer al mundo entero por qué convocamos a una Asamblea Nacional Constituyente para salvar nuestra república de los ataques de esta derecha fascista.
And this is why in Venezuela we've instated a Constituent National Assembly as a way to save our republic from a fascist power.
Y por supuesto, pues reiterar nuestro agradecimiento infinito, nuestro afecto, nuestra amistad, nuestro amor, primero por este pueblo, pues que históricamente ha estado al lado de nosotros, y bueno, y por recibirme por segunda vez en esta casa. Gracias.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you once again from the depth of my heart and with great gratitude for the love and historical ties that we've had between our countries. Again, thank you for having me again in your country.